Ah, the Prophet married to a 9-year-old girl. That's a very interesting topic. Really very interesting. And I must say it has been the biggest motivation to me, because I have been called a pedophile, in a context where the Dutroux case was raging, and many things like that. And besides, I become a Muslim. Evidently, some people said every Muslim is a potential pedophile. So it really touched me. Really. And so I started to investigate. All the detractors of Islam always show off this hadith from Bukhari besides. And indeed the translation of the hadith is Bukhari asks his daughter, when did you marry exactly? And the daughter answered that the engagement, the wedding promise, has been concluded at the age of 6, and the wedding consumption, when she actually lived in the Prophet's house, has been done at the age of 9. Evidently, we see this text and we say, pfft, and this hadith is an authentic one. And they have been related and biographies of each of these narrators do exist. They all seem to be really credible. So it's really embarrassing. And much to my delight, I met a doctor of Islamology who came from Egypt to Halifax, Canada, to teach. And he said to me, no. And I was like, yeah, but the hadith. No. The numbers, he said. When were you born? I answered 59. So he said, how old are you? I answered and he said, no, you said 59. You didn't say 1959. It's 2011 today, so you are 1,952 years old. Because 2011 minus 59? No, I was born in 1959. Oh, really? But you didn't say so. Yeah, because everybody knows that. Okay, he said, everybody knows. And he said, when I present my book, I say the 27th. But everybody knows it's after 400. That means I wrote 427 books, and I say this is the 27th. In Arabic, I can do so. In French or English, I can't do so. Because French or English don't talk like that. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, that's an interesting point. And I went to Fez in Morocco. I was looking at a ship, and the seller told me, it's 250 dirham. Whoa, I said, that's cheap. 25 euros for a ship. That's really cheap. I said, okay, I take it. Then I gave him the 250 dirham. And then he said, no, it's 1,250 dirham. Everybody knows that a ship costs at least 1,000 dirham. Huh? So Arabs do talk after something, but not only Arabs, and this kind of habits doesn't concern only numbers. As an example, I will answer at the same time to the 70 virgin women question. In Netherlands, we say 1,000, because 70 in Arabic just means a lot. 36 in French, the 36 candlelights. I could choose between 36 cars. That just means a lot. That means there's a philosophy around numbers in the different languages. And you've got to know it, otherwise you're misunderstanding. So back to the hadith, in reality, 6 years old, 9 years old, it's after something, but not necessarily after the birth. That's what I learned from Arabic language. I checked this point with Arabic professors, and all of them said 6 and 9, it's not sure, it's after something in the context, but we don't know what. So I began to do more research around the story, the context of the hadith, and no one pointed that wedding episode in the time of the Prophet. Not even his enemies said, look at this bad guy, shame on him. Nobody. Look, today, a few years ago, maybe someone heard about this story. It was in 2007 or 8. American sheikh did a fatwa claiming that, yeah, we can marry a 9-year-old girl. Immediately, it was a general outcry in Morocco. Advocates engaged pursuits, and many other sheikhs made a new fatwa. No, it's 18 years old. What's about that? Are you sick or what? So Arabs know they don't accept to marry a 9-year-old girl. Besides, in Muslim scriptures, a woman must be at least physically adult, even if the wedding promise is done at the age of 3 or 6. The women, they come to an agreement during the laundry. Besides, it's used to be like that in Europe too. Hey, look, Wouldn't it be a good idea to marry your daughter to my son? It's an habit in the Arabic culture too, that's all. So we say, okay, we can let them together. Everything they do together will be okay. But the wedding conception cannot be done before they are adult. That means the girl must be physically adult. So indeed, they are wedding at the age of 13, 14, 15 years old. Yeah, well, it happens not only in Arabic countries. As an example, in Europe, some kings married in front of the Pope with some 6-year-old girl. Many kings with some 5-6-year-old girls. And then they took the girl at home right after the wedding. It's not Catholicism. When you see scandals now, it's clearly against Christian ethic to do such things. An adult don't go in the children's pants. It doesn't work like that. That means, in Muslim history, it's not more accepted. And nevertheless, no critic, not one book, nothing. Not a friend who said to the Prophet, wait, what are you doing? What are you doing? You've got to be an example for the whole humankind forever. No, nothing. No one said anything. So it's very few credible. And finally I looked into history books. So there you find a sister, Asma, a father, Abu Bakr, the first converted to Islam, the first companion of the Prophet. And there you can find the dates. Between the first revelation and this wedding, there are 13 years. Because the wedding conception was done 1 year after the migration. So 1 year after the moving to Medina, and so after the mosque construction was achieved, after the Ramadan month comes the Shawwal month, and it's during this month that they lived together. So 13 years after her father's conversion to Islam, she married, and her older sister was 10 years older than Aisha. It's written in all the books. She was 10 years older. So that's useful if we know her age. So when you do some research to find out when she, Asma, was born, because besides she was the 12th or 13th converted to Islam, she was the Prophet's secretary, Asma, the older sister of Aisha. So there are many texts from her. And so it's very difficult to censor someone who wrote a lot. And so we know Asma is dead in 73 after the migration. Why? Because it was more or less the end of the Islamic reign of her son Abdullah ibn Zubair. He was the last leader in Mecca and he has been murdered. She was blind at that time. And all the books say that she was more than 100 years old. So more than 100 years old in 73, she's born in 28 before migration, so it's not difficult to understand that if she was born in 28 before the migration, she was 20 years old during the year of the migration. So 1 year later, she was 29. So the older sister, who was 10 years older, was 29 years old when the younger sister get married. So 29 minus 10, I don't know if there are mathematicians in the room, I don't know if we need a calculator, but the result is 19. And in Arabic language you can say that means 9 years after 10. We can say that. But when you know the context, it's useless to add after 10. So this hadith is a text, but once again, we don't have the context. That's a problem with hadith. They don't always relate the context. So even if the numbers are exact, it could be 9 after another event. So the evidences to say that the girl was 9 are too light. There's no possible accusation. There's not enough evidences. Because there are other hadiths, you know, people say in other hadiths she's playing with dolls around the engagement. It's a hadith you can find in at least 5 different hadith collections. Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, Imam Ahmed, and I forgot the fifth. And it's the same story in each of these collections. So Aisha's mother presents Aisha to the Prophet, and she was playing with dolls. But the dolls, they were made by herself. Huh? 6 years old. She was making her dolls with her own hands. Pretty precocious, huh? And one of these dolls were a horse with wings. Oh, 6 years old? Wait a minute, I work with children all day long. They don't make such things at 6. Besides, the Prophet asked to Aisha, "What's that, Aisha?" "Well, these are wings." "Really? But a horse doesn't have wings." And she answered, "Yes, Solomon's horses had wings." And the Prophet laughed. And Aisha said she saw his molars, the teeth in the back of his mouth, as he was laughing. Wait, is it a conversation we can have with a 6-year-old girl? I don't think so. There's another hadith where some people are asking to Aisha, "Oh Aisha, do you remember when did your parents embrace Islam?" So here we need to stop a few seconds on this question. It's like someone asked me, "Do you remember when Hitler enters Brussels?" Well, I wasn't born. So if she was 9 years old, 13 years after her parents embraced Islam, and people ask her, "Hey, 13 years before your wedding, so 4 years before your birth, do you remember whether your parents were into religion?" What was she supposed to answer? She should have answered, "I wasn't born, I can't remember that." No, that's not what she said. She said, "As far as I can remember, my parents have always been Muslims." So, when do you remember such things? When you are 5 or 6 years old. So 5, 6 plus 13 equal 19 years old. It's always the same numbers. So, before trying to explain why she married so young, and I say it to Arabs too, because many Arabs say it was normal at that time to marry young girls, I answer them, wait a minute. So before trying to explain such things, you must check if it's true, or you may be ridiculous. And that matches with the verse we've read. Before relating stories, you have to verify them. You know, Abu Bakr was the first companion of the Prophet. So if she was 9, that means she was born 4 years after he converted to Islam. There is no book dealing with that. I speak under the watch of people who know much more than me about Islam. If someone knows a book, a story, a hadith that says Abu Bakr had a daughter after he converted to Islam, let me know. There is not. So, she's born after, and no one talked about it, I don't believe it. So, she was born at least 13 years before she married. But when the Prophet asked Abu Bakr for his daughter to engage, Abu Bakr answered, I can't. She's promised to another man. And it was a man who were fighting against Islam. So Abu Bakr converted to Islam. 4 years later, he has a daughter, and later he engaged her with an Islam enemy? I don't think so.
Elle était déjà fiancée à un homme qui combattait l'islam.
It's a perfect nonsense. It's impossible. That means she's born a long time before the revelation. Besides, Imam Tabari, he says, she's born at least 5 years before the revelation. So 5 years plus 13 years, we always around 19, 18 years. So yeah, there is indeed a hadith who says that she was 9 years old, but we can eventually explain it. It was 9 years after something. And I say there is not enough evidences to say that she was 9 years old.